Hello, Maverick fans. Welcome to another edition of the Mavpuckcast. Thank you every week for tuning in, listening to us talk about hockey. John's here with me. And John, we had a interesting series this weekend at Baxter Arena.
Definitely interesting series. Our first time playing Lindenwood, a program that has been playing at the Division I level for 3 seasons now. They're in the midst of their third season, and it was fun to get a chance to play them. I'd said on last week's episode that it would potentially be a dangerous series, and it turned out to be a bit of a dangerous series. And we'll get to all of that and everything that happened during those games, and a lot of the interesting festivities going on during that series. But before we get to that, I'd like to thank our founding members for their support of the Mavpuckcast this season. As I am talking, you are seeing a scroll of their names on your screen if you are watching the video version on YouTube. If you're listening to this, you should go back and watch the video version on YouTube so you can see the names of the fine folks who donated to support Mavpuck.com and the Mavpuckcast this season. Their names will also appear at the end of each episode of the Mavpuckcast this season. And if you would like to support our efforts here at the Mavpuckcast and at Mavpuck.com, be sure to visit Mavpuck.com/donate. But yes, Jason alluded to the entertaining series against Lindenwood. First time playing that program. They are still a Division I independent, so they have not found a conference yet. Interesting game on Friday night. There was an ice storm, which kind of hampered turnout, and we'll get to some of that in our Things You Missed segment. But 4:24 into the first period, Lindenwood's Jaden Mercier gets the scoring started. He was one of our players to watch on last week's episode of the Mavpuckcast. It was a second attempt there in front of the crease for Lindenwood to put puck in 1-0 Lions. So Lindenwood got the scoring started, but 10:06 into the first, Jason, Charlie Lurie ties it up for UNO. Nice pass by Rollwagon to set up that shot. The teams were tied 1-1 after the first.
Yeah, tight game. I think the lack of a crowd really affected the energy for UNO. They looked a little just a little stale kind of coming out of the locker room for that first period. I was going in the locker room thinking, well, glad we're level up at least, and hopefully a better second. But unfortunately, the second period has not always been UNO's friend this season.
Yeah, the last couple weekends, UNO has struggled in the second period, and 7:09 into the second, Joe Prouty puts Lindenwood up 2-1. So it was 2-1 Lindenwood after 2. And you're thinking, look, it's the game still close. Anything can happen in the third period, but 59 seconds into the third period, Lindenwood's John Evans extends the Lions lead to 3-1. His shot was from the FNBO logo out by the blue line. Simon was screened off. He couldn't see that. So it's 3-1 Lindenwood early in the third, Jason.
Yeah, and that's just hard. UNO's not a goal scoring team right now. We didn't really expect them to be coming into the season. So getting into a track meet, having to score 4 to win kind of thing is going to be a tough sled, especially when you're into the third period trying to do that, coming back from that 2-goal deficit.
Absolutely right. 11:50 into the third, UNO's Cam Mitchell puts the puck in down low, narrows that lead to 3-2. It was a nice transition goal for UNO. Lindenwood holds on to win 3-2. Not the start to the series they were looking for. So UNO was looking for redemption going into the Saturday night game. The coaching staff shook up the lines a bit on Saturday. In addition to that, freshman goaltender Kevin Radler was in net for UNO. 3:54 into the first period, junior defenseman Noah Ellis puts UNO up 1-0. Great pass by Lurie to set that up. That was Noah's first goal as a Maverick.
Yeah, it was a beautiful shot. There was a lot of good going on that play. I thought we really came out of that first period with way more energy than we had in Friday night's game.
Absolutely. UNO had a number of good opportunities during that period. Late in the first, 17:57 into the period, Lindenwood's Tyler Loftman tied it up. He just got behind Miles Hillman on that play. So it was 1-1 after the first period. Second period, look, like the first period, UNO had a number of solid opportunities in the second period, including a terrific breakaway chance by freshman Chase LaPinta. 15:23 into the second period. Brady Risk gets his second goal of the season for UNO. It came at the tail end of the power play. Israel's with a nice pass to Risk in the slot to set that up. So it was 2-1 UNO after two.
Yeah, that was, we talked before the season about how excited we were that the two of them were coming, the chemistry that they had. That goal was exactly what we expect those two to do when they're on the ice together. Just that bang bang play. You knew that Israel's knew where Risk was. He wasn't having to find him. He had that feeling like Brady's going to be here. This is going in the net, and just a beautiful play, like all the way around from Lurie setting up Israel's behind the net to the pass to that short side, and then just wrist shot to get that through. Just there was nothing that Lindenwood could do in that situation. Once that gets going, you're kind of hosed, and just open your goaltender makes a save at that point.
Yeah, great to see Risk starting to heat up. He was the leading point producer at Alaska last season. Third period was a fascinating period, Jason. Lindenwood controlled play for most of the third period on Saturday night. They evened up the shots on goal. They won the face-off battle. They really had sustained pressure in our defensive zone during that third period. 8:44 into the third period. There wasn't a goal scored, but this was a pretty entertaining sequence of events. We were talking about this online. You guys were apparently talking about this via text during the game. I don't know. I'm trying to film clips during the game, Jason. I have like a one-track mind. So Lindenwood's Artyom Borshyov swatted an injured Harrison Israels with his stick by the UNO bench. Brady Risk came to his defense. There was a little kerfuffle by the bench. Both players ended up going to the box. What's interesting, speaking of me recording clips, Jason, is I went back and looked, and because I'd wondered how did Israels get injured? Well, when I looked back at my film, Israels and Risk just kind of collided into each other. It wasn't anything particularly serious, kind of in the slot area. When that happened for UNO. So that's why Israel's was ailing a little bit. But what did you think of that sequence? Because there was a lot of talk about how the penalties were called on that, Jason. There was a lot of debate about that, and people were still asking about that in the Facebook group on Monday.
There were a lot of questionable calls in that game, even before that in the third. So I would... This is one of those times where I really wish we could interview the referees just to kind of get an understanding of what is going on, because I remember I didn't see the collision that led to Israel's kind of getting banged up on that play, but you could see him in the slot, while the play was going on, still kind of clutching and holding his shoulder. So I was obviously worried that it's something major at that point in time. But he stuck out there, so I knew it probably wasn't so bad. The play ends. He gets a chance. He's not even really all that close. He did not intend to run into the defender. He wasn't even close to making contact with that defender. And you can clearly see on the replay in the arena that they showed, he just comes in and spears Israel's in the groin, and so of course your guy's going to come to your defense, and I think what's frustrating for fans, and I mean fans will speak for themselves, they obviously have in comments. I can say what frustrates me is that we've seen a similar play happen where a UNO player just kind of you know, they used to call them cup checks and stuff back in the day, right? Like, it's just kind of the way hockey used to be, and I know they're trying to get it out, but we've seen that for UNO get called as a spearing major and an ejection, and they wouldn't even go look at it. And it's frustrating when things like that, the guy's already hurt, and to just like add insult to injury like that, like there's got to be more than just a 2 minutes on that. So I'd really like to know what the refs thought they saw that they didn't even think that it warranted going back and saying, hey, let's take a look at this because maybe there is something more there, especially when they'd already done 2 reviews leading up to that on things that were like clearly, how long did they look at that first one where the two Lindenwood players ran into each other and they're like, we're going to review this for head contact? I'm thinking there wasn't a UNO player over there to make head contact. So what are we looking at? And they show the replay on the board and I'm like, why are you still in the box? It's so obvious they run into each other. Like, I don't understand. Like they were looking for something else. I guess we're in here. We got to call UNO for something. It just kind of gets that feeling with the referees, the last few seasons is just like they can find a reason to, stick it to UNO. For some reason they will.
So Jason would like to interview the referees
Oh,
on,
yeah.
on a future episode of the. Maybe we can get the head of officials on the Mavpuckcast to explain the officiating philosophy going on in the National Collegiate Hockey Conference this season and in seasons past. UNO holds on to win the game 2-1, so they earn a split in the series. Good on UNO to get a positive result going into the Christmas break. Some series notes here for you, Jason. At the midway point of the season here, UNO is 7-9-0 overall and 4-4 in the NCHC. So hovering right about 500. Freshman goalie Kevin Radler snags his first win in net as a Mav. So congratulations to him. And Brady Risk netted his 7th career game-winning goal in collegiate hockey. UNO had that little fun fact on Twitter. So final thoughts on this Lindenwood series, Jason, as we look here ahead to our players of the week.
The story is very much with both nights, 60 minutes of hockey will probably get this team some more wins, and they've got to find a way to say, we're not going to start slow. We're not going to, finish as a turtle, because that's kind of what has bit them in the past. That middle frame, like we said, bit us in Friday's game, I think, more than anything else that night. And we almost lost it on Saturday because of a third period where we really couldn't generate anything. And we just kind of got sucked into playing their game. So UNO needs to play. I like the style of play. I like when they play that heavy puck, lots of pressure. The penalty kill this year has kind of gone to that theory of a high pressure kill, and don't give them a lot of time to think about things and survey things, and just constantly expanding, contracting on the puck. And so hopefully they can do more of that. They can kind of commit to the season and to that situation. And we'll see. Hopefully we get more of those goals like Israel's to Risk, because that was awesome this weekend. I want more of that.
Yeah, absolutely right. So Jason, gotta ask you, who's your player of the week for this series against Lindenwood?
Yeah, Friday night's hard because honestly, I don't know about what you think, but like I don't really think anyone had a great game. I thought that was probably one of the worst games we've seen from Simon this year. It wasn't terrible, but it's just we've seen him perform better than what he did, and then when he doesn't get the start on Friday, or on Saturday, it's hard to say, okay, well, either the loss on him or the win is on Rayler. So throw those guys out. Those are usually the obvious picks, right, for people. I think for me, Lurie was the one that really stood out. Obviously the 2 assists on Saturday were kind of impressive pieces, and he did have the goal on Friday night, so that's good. But for me, it's the deeper analytics, the puck possession stuff. He was one of our better forwards both nights, in the top 5. shot production. He was tied for first on Friday night's game, and I think he was tied for fourth on Saturday's game. So he's generating opportunities. He's getting us chances to kind of get set up. He's possessing that puck. So I think from what I've seen, he's one of the guys to call out from this weekend. John,
Yeah.
who caught your eye? Let's just say Saturday, because I think we can both agree Friday wasn't a whole lot of greatness there.
Well, let me say, first of all, on Charlie Lurie, as you mentioned, he had 1 goal and 2 assists against Lindenwood. He has 3 goals and 3 assists in 9 games this season for UNO. And because we're recording this episode a little bit later than normal, he was named the NCHC Forward of the Week. So first time that he earned that honor. So congratulations to Charlie Lurie. And honestly, Jason, if you had told me that 2 of our top point producers were going to be Charlie Lurie and Cam Mitchell at the midpoint of the season, I would have said you're crazy. So, gosh, great job by those guys to step it up and get it done. Boy, this was a tough one for me to know who to pick this weekend, but I've got to go with grad forward Brady Risk. He had the game-winning goal, what turned out to be the game-winning goal on Saturday night. He has 2 goals and 3 assists this season. As I mentioned earlier, this was his 7th career game-winning goal, and he has tallied points in each of the last 5 series for UNO. So hopefully big things are on the horizon for he and Harrison Israels in the second half of the season, because we were obviously very excited about them when they came into UNO via the transfer portal during the off season.
You are correct.
Jason does this now where I outline why I pick a player, and when it doesn't, Jason's like, that sounds good to me. Let's move on to the next thing. So
Yeah, but going back to the last episode of the podcast, right? I said like the thing we really want to look for coming out of Lindenwood is for some of these guys that we expect to be the point producers, the goal scorers and stuff for UNO. We need to see them start stepping up and kind of taking on that role. And one of those is Risks. And it was nice to see him get a non-fluky goal. Like that was not one of those, I need something like hopefully this dump in rolls in through his 5-hole or something like that. Like that was a legitimate shot, a goal scorer's goal as they call them. So to see him, get that, and then like you said, like he's trending in the right direction, and so, hopefully that continues that way, and will bring us some success here coming into NCHC play and stuff in the second half, and so, without Lucky, without Tanner on the ice, like they've got to step up, and we're gonna need the Luries and the Mitchells to step up and say, I know I wasn't expected to be this guy. I wasn't expected to produce or something, and come out and produce. And so it's always good to see, those guys. I think the same thing for Slipik too. I thought he had a pretty good game on Saturday, and then he gets an assist, and I like that high pressure. I like him in that role. He seems to thrive when he's kind of playing downhill at pucks, I would say, and so hopefully putting him in that position more and letting him be more of a puck hounding forward and stuff. Put him on a line where he can get that puck and have somewhere to go with it. Find some chemistry with guys he knows are going to be there, the way that we talked about Harrison knew where Brady was going to be without having to look up and find him, kind of thing. And that would, bode well for us too, because we had high hopes for Slipik coming into that. So hopefully that's what we learned from the trials that we had on Friday, and then the tough aspect of that game, but also then what we came through with, and kind of that character building win on Saturday.
absolutely right. And as you know, Jason, second half of the season in NCHC play is a whole different game. So all of the guys on the team are going to have to really crank it up and step up their games, because it's tough, and it's a brutal stretch of hockey, one of the toughest stretches of hockey in any conference in the NCAA. So it'll be interesting to see how the guys perform.
That
But
analysis help you out a little bit there. Was that a little better?
yeah, that was a little better. It's Jason throw in some of his analysis, and the I agree completely, John. So that's a John line. That's what I do all the time. All right. But we've got to talk about some things you missed at Baxter Arena. On Friday night, there was an ice storm in Omaha that hampered turnouts to the game. It kind of reminded me of a series that we had, a Saturday night game in particular against St. Cloud State, February of 2019. There was a blizzard in Omaha. Very few people turned out to that game, I recall. There were a few more people at this game, but boy, that's I'll tell you what, that black ice, Jason, I hate that stuff. That is just awful. It was like a pinball machine out there on the streets, cars getting hit, cars sliding around. You guys made it. I was very impressed that you made it from West Home. I thought you from West Omaha. I thought you guys might end up staying home and just watching it on NCHC TV. Bridget went out and picked up our niece Scotland earlier after school. She lives out in West Omaha, kind of just like north of you guys. She lives at near 168th and Pacific, and we only live about 2 miles east of Baxter Arena. So she went and got Scotland. She had Scotland pack her bag, thinking if I have her pack a bag, the weather won't get that bad and it'll be okay. We'll be able to take her home. But she ended up spending the night with us Friday night. Our Mavboni driver, Greg McVeigh, who lives in Lincoln, he drives and he built the Mavboni many, many years ago. He was driving up from Lincoln after work. He got stuck at I-80 and Highway 370. He and his companion, Dan, who came up with him for the game, they got off the interstate at 370 and tried to wind their way up to Baxter Arena from the south. It took them 2 hours to get from there to Baxter Arena. So they were not at the arena in time for the fish pickup. So Jolene, your wife, was pressed into service and she had to drive the Mavboni, Jason.
Yeah, that was something a little different. I remember Bridget came up and said like he's at, what'd she say? It was before the game started, and she's like, "Well, he's on his way, but he's at I-80 and 370 or something like that." And she looked at me and I said, "He's not going to make it in time." Like, I mean, it wasn't that bad when we came in, and we came in a full hour and a half before the game. So, the roads were starting to get bad. You could tell that they weren't great, but they weren't that bad getting in. But there were still accidents all over the place, and so I was like, there's no chance. Like, we got to come up with something. And Jolene had trained before on it, and so she said that she would do it and went down there. And I said one of two things is going to happen: either she's going to get lucky and they're not going to score until like the very, very end of the game, and we're going to win 1-0, and maybe he'd be there by the 18-minute mark in the third period kind of thing, or she's going to get down there and score in like the first 30 seconds and she was going to be forced into service. And then I saw that they couldn't get it started and they were having troubles with that, and so it was just like Friday was just all kinds of like just not working for everyone, it seemed like, not just the Maverick hockey team.
Yeah, and they did finally get it started. So she went out, but at that point, UNO had sent somebody out with a shovel to pick up the fish. I think they sent him out with a shovel.
It was they grabbed the net off the Zamboni.
Oh, did they? Okay. So I was supposed to be recording that, and I thought I was recording that, but I didn't hit record on the phone. So I'm like, oh man, wonder if anybody got this. Well, you happen to record it. So if you're hearing us talking right now, you're watching the video of that. So she did get to drive out, but it was a short drive. She kind of drove out to the circle that's right by the Zamboni entrance, and then she kind of did a U-turn and turned around and went out. So it was a nice little practice run for the future. But the toughest thing with the Mavboni, it seems, is getting that thing on and getting it started. So McVeigh did finally make it to the game by the third period, but yeah, that was rough. That was rough weather. So we got there early. You guys got there early. We tend to get to the arena early anyway. Jason, anything with that? Did you get a chance to I don't know, try any interesting concessions since you got there before you normally get to a UNO hockey game?
Yeah, our plan was to stop and get food on our way to Baxter, and just with the weather the way it was, we said let's not delay getting there any longer than we have to. And so we decided we were just going to eat dinner at the game. And so I can't remember what the family had or something, but we were walking and I saw at the concession stand that's right underneath our section there in 216 that they had this special I'm trying to remember what they called it. It's weird. Like, it's one of those things that they just put up on a piece of paper stuck to the back of the soda machine kind of thing. But it was smash burger. So it was 2 smash burger patties and 2 pieces of cheese and bacon, and Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce. And so it's kind of like a barbecue bacon hamburger, and it was pretty good. So I'm guessing it's limited time since it was written on a piece of paper, but maybe they bring it back for me later on.
Yeah, no, that sounds really good. I'm a big fan of smash burgers, and I love the restaurant Smash Burger. When it was here in Omaha, it's no longer here. So anytime we travel, we go to Smash Burger. When we went with you out to the Denver series last season, we went to Smash Burger because there was one near where we were staying. And when we were out in Arizona this last fall here for that series, we were staying across the street from a Smash Burger. So Bridget got to use a gift card that she'd purchased in Omaha several years ago at the Smash Burger. We didn't get to use it in Denver because their POS system or whatever was down when we were at that Denver one. So that sounds terrific, Jason. So I'm glad you got to try that. Friday night was also toga night, Jason. There weren't very many
toga. Sorry.
There weren't very many togas at Baxter.
No, there weren't. There weren't very many people there Friday night. So
there were a few students dressed in togas. There was one guy who did a pretty good job. He was kind of a scruffy looking guy. I did not get any pictures, so my apologies to everyone. The whole ice storm thing just kind of threw me off. Lawler's Custom actually did a t-shirt for toga night. I saw those on their rack on Saturday night. So that was interesting. So yeah, definitely. It's always tough to maintain an attendance streak, Jason, when you have inclement weather like that. So hopefully we don't have anything else. I would have much preferred snow, much easier to deal with than that kind of a freezing rain, freezing drizzle stuff that happens. And so not a lot that happened. We had Toys for Tots on Saturday. And it looked like people were bringing lots of nice things to the Marines who were collecting the toys on Saturday night. But entertaining series nonetheless, and certainly entertaining to see Jolene drive the Mavboni. One more note, one thing that they mentioned during this weekend series, Howard Hawks, former NU regent, local businessman, and a prominent supporter of athletics in Omaha and down at the University of Nebraska at Lincoln, died recently, and they announced on the Jumbotron that there will be a celebration of life at Baxter Arena this upcoming Saturday, December 21st at 11 a.m., and it's open to the public. I never met Howard Hawks, but his name is on a number of facilities and whatnot related to our local universities here in Omaha. So I know he's a big supporter of UNO athletics and UNO hockey. So that was very nice that they are holding that and that it's open to the public. So if people want to attend, they certainly can. But Jason, we got to talk about some more hockey upcoming. And we do
Yeah.
have an exhibition coming up against Manitoba on December 29th. It'll be 2 p.m. at Baxter Arena. We will not be doing an episode after that game. So that's just a programming note here, unless something extraordinary or catastrophic happens at the game that we feel we need to address on a podcast. So just giving you a heads up on that. So we're going to turn our sights to UNO's next regular season action, and that will come at the Cactus Cup in Palm Desert, California on January 3rd and 4th. Four teams will be in this holiday tournament: Omaha, Michigan Tech, UMass Lowell, and Holy Cross. We play Holy Cross in the first game, Jason. The
Yep.
only other time UNO played Holy Cross was November 26, 2005. It was a single game in the Rensselaer Bank of America Holiday Hockey Tournament. The Mavs won that game 6-1. That season was also the first time the UNO hockey program made the NCAA tournament. Holy Cross this season is 8-8-1 overall, and they are 7-4-1 in Atlantic hockey. Holy Cross is led by head coach Bill Riga. He is in his fourth season at Holy Cross. Prior to becoming the head coach at Holy Cross, he was an assistant for 13 seasons with Quinnipiac. And we know how solid that program has been under Rand Pecknold. So he was obviously one of the assistants who was responsible for recruiting some of those talented players to Quinnipiac. He has a 58, 66, and 10 record as of this recording with Holy Cross. The team went 21-14-4 last season, and they finished second in Atlantic hockey. So a program we don't have an extensive history playing against, Jason. It seems like holiday tournaments are when we meet up with Holy Cross. But what do you think about this holiday tournament going in?
UNO seems to do well with these tournament things, and so hopefully that trend continues. Be kind of interesting to bring home a pair of hardware in a season. But I don't know. I'm always excited for these. I think it's a nice shakeup. I think NCAA hockey should do more of these. Kind of like mini tournament things, midway through the season. I think that's a good break from the, same team Friday, Saturday kind of action that teams are used to. So looking forward to that. It's entirely different planning when you say, like, we know who we're playing Friday, but who knows who we got on Saturday. So how fast can you make adjustments and scout your opponent?
We got some players to watch. Leading the team in points is senior Liam McClinsky. He has 10 goals and 6 assists this season. He transferred to Holy Cross from Quinnipiac after the 2021-22 season. Second on the team in points is junior defenseman Mac Oliphant. He has 13 assists this season, and his brother plays for the Air Force Academy. Former UNO Mav Michael Abgral transferred to Holy Cross during the offseason, and he has 2 goals and 8 assists for Holy Cross this season. So nice to see him having success with a new team. And in net is senior Thomas Gale. He has a 2.36 goals against average and a .923 save percentage. So I'm going to be excited to see this. I love these interconference matchups for UNO. I love when we get a chance to play the teams from out east, the Atlantic Hockey, Hockey East, and the ECAC teams. Jason, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think we'll defeat Holy Cross in that first game? And how do you think we'll do in the Cactus Cup?
It's going to be interesting to see the goaltending matchup. Like you alluded to, Gale's got some pretty good stats there. Simon, we're all fans of Simon. We think he's great. We're going to need his A game to shut down a team that is one of the better shooting percentage teams that I've seen. there's a number of guys who are above 15%, and in double digits, and that in shooting percentages. So they may not take a ton of shots, but they're getting to high danger areas. They're getting efficient scoring opportunities. And like you said, McClinsky's a pretty dangerous goal scorer there for them. So, gonna have to have our head on a swivel. We're gonna play good defensive hockey. I like our style. I like the way that we match up against them. I think we can do it. I think we've got the system to beat them. But I don't expect it to be a blowout. I think it's going to be a tight game, and we're going to have to, be effective on the power play. We're going to have to watch our penalty kill and hopefully not take too many penalties. And then we're just going to need that typical Simon outstanding performance.
I think UNO will beat Holy Cross. I'm really curious to see whether they'll play Michigan Tech or UMass Lowell. We played UMass Lowell in the Arizona State tournament last season, in the January holiday tournament we played in out in Tempe. So it'll be interesting if we get them or Michigan Tech, which is a program that we haven't seen for a while. So I'm excited to see how these games go and how UNO performs, and should be a lot of fun. I know you're not going to be at that one, Jason. I wish you guys were going to be out there in Palm Springs. I know your daughter Lexi has a hockey tournament here in Omaha that weekend.
We will be here watching on NCHC TV or Flow Sports or wherever you tell me it's on.
Well, unfortunately it's not on NCHC TV, but you will be happy to note, Jason, that the games are listed as being on Flow Sports, Flow Hockey, that Flow Sports package, which I know you have this season. And that Friday game on January 4th against Holy Cross, according to the schedule on the official Cactus Cup website and on Holy Cross's website, will be at 9 p.m. Omaha time for those of you who are in Omaha. So it will be the late game. I thought we might end up playing the early game in the Cactus Cup, but we're the late game. And so 9 p.m. Omaha time, that'll be 7 p.m. Pacific time out there in California for those of you who are traveling out to the Cactus Cup after the first of the year. And like I said, those games are listed as being on Flow Hockey, but we will get definitive confirmation of that as the next week or two wear on here. So be sure to follow us. So that'll be nice for you, Jason.
Be able to I don't have to buy another service just to watch two games.
So. And like I told you, Jason, I will pay for a month of service for you to watch those games you aren't able to come to. But you've been enjoying your Flow Sports, Flow Hockey package.
Yeah, they added the AHL in there, and it's been nice to watch some ECHL games. And then when I get time, I throw on random like junior hockey games because they play in the middle of the afternoon on a Tuesday.
Yeah, absolutely. The USHL games are on there. So I know some Lancer fans here locally who subscribe to Flow Hockey. So it sounds like it's pretty good. I have not subscribed yet this season, but maybe I'll have to check that out here in the second half. Of course, you can listen to the games locally on the radio on 1290, or you can listen anywhere online on the Varsity Network app. Mike Valancourt and Terry Leahy will, of course, have the call. And be sure to follow Mavpuck on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can find links to all of our social channels at mavpuck.com. And we'll be having updates leading up to the Cactus Cup, and we'll have updates during the Cactus Cup. So you're going to want to follow along for that because Bridget and I will be out there. Should be a lot of fun. I know other fans are going to be traveling out for that. So it'll be fun. There have been a lot of these kind of fun destination tournaments and series for UNO this season, Jason.
Yeah, it's exciting for those of you who can travel to all of these. I'm jealous that I missed both Arizona State and Palm Desert. Those should be good locations, and I know you had a good time in Arizona, so I'm hoping you have a equally good time in California.
Well, thank you very much. And I know you got to go to the one at the beginning of the season out in Vegas. I wish you could come to more because you came to quite a few series with us last season. So we'll have to see what happens during the second half. But maybe next season, you'll be able to come with us to a few more of those series because it's always fun to have you and Jolene along. But Jason, I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And until next time, go Mavs.
Go Mavs.